Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. We are live as every other day on worldviewtube.com, worldviewtube X and Rumble account, and worldviewtube app, which I strongly suggest you install it if you haven't yet. It is for free. Just go to your app store and install it. Turn on notifications so you never miss any of our programming, especially if we do a special coverage or breaking news, which more is about to come. We're also live on X America News on X, and we're live on my platforms on X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Substack. We are live, so go ahead and as always, feel free to put in your comments, questions, suggestions, agreement, disagreement, and we will address them. I say we because in a minute, I will be joined by the man who is no stranger to Worldview Tube audience, my audience, or X America News. But before we bring him in, I want to explain something. I normally don't do much of purpose prop on my show, but today's hoodie is. I want you to look at it. I want you to read it. It is in my DNA. It is in my DNA. This right here is the Iran flag with a fingerprint form. Iran flag, not Islamic Republic of Iran flag, the Iran flag, which is formed in a thumbprint. Why am I doing this? I know you can't fix a stupid. I know. And I know the percentage of a stupid is skyrocketing. However, a post that we will address with my guest in a minute, I posted something earlier today. And I said with it that US and France have done enough damage in Iran. Stay away from our land, L-A-N-D, our land. And I faced the following. I'll say about 3 or 4 people were in agreement, but my most interesting one, and yes, all of these comments person have been blocked. Iran is your land. Why are you living in the USA? Go live in your land. Go there and fight for your beloved land. Stop blaming others for the choices and mistakes that Iranians made. People there chose an Islamic government, and until today, they will never leave their radical culture and religion, no matter who's in power. How ungrateful you are to the country that welcomed you when you needed it. Go back to Iran. Where do I even begin with this one? I'm trying to be as kind as possible. But number one, it's in my DNA, darling. I'm an Iranian American, darling. And for you to admit how ignorant you are that you think people chose the Islamic government in Iran in 1979 says everything that needs to be said about your ignorant again. Then it gets to, I thought you were American, another person. Yes, I am an American by choice. I'm an Iranian by birth, DNA, culture, heritage, language. Next person says, but all these weeks you were begging for the intervention. Number one, everybody knows I'm the one who said no from day one. During 12 Days War, I said, US, stay out of it. From the day one of, which is now day 24, I said, US, stay out of it. I don't trust US government to free my people because they won't. And we're going to dig into that very why I don't trust them today with my guest, Shahram Hadian. Pastor Shahram Hadian, a fellow Iranian American, my brother in Christ, as I said, who's no stranger to this program or all of the audience across all platforms. Shahram John, welcome to Live Up to Freedom.
Angel, thank you so much for having me, for inviting me on. It's a privilege to be on with you.
I appreciate that. What you got anything to say about the lovely comments I've been receiving today?
No, like you said, it's hard to fix people who are stupid or foolish and have short-sighted views of the world. They have a short-sighted view of history. And unfortunately, because of foolish people, history repeats itself. But yeah, I mean, this is incredible that they would say, go back to Iran when the people, the irony of it is that you and I have been trying to actually fight for America by the lesson that our birth country and our compatriots have paid for 47 plus years. So that's the irony of it, is that we're actually fighting for America by fighting for freedom in Iran, because the Iranian people who are now like, we are done with Islam, we are done with this theocratic rule, and oh, you foolish Europeans, Canadians, Americans who are, you know, giving Islam a hug and a kiss and a smoochie and going on dates and saying how wonderful it is. So that's the stupidity of those kind of statements, is no, hello, we're actually fighting for you. We're actually fighting for you to be able to make that stupid statement because
right.
that
so you have the freedom to do it.
You don't have that freedom in Iran, because if you made such a stupid statement against the Islamic Republic, you would be jailed, beaten, or worse. So that's how foolish they are in saying that, and not understanding that, yeah, the Persian, your DNA doesn't leave you. You know, God redeems us. He's brought us to Christ. We are obviously in Christ now, you and I, and many Iranians, and we understand that we have a heavenly kingdom that is coming, but yet we're still Persian by DNA, by culture, and it's an incredible culture that has been a blessing not only to the world, but if they read their Bibles, also to Israel, to the Jewish people.
That was my first thing I thought about the first comment, telling me to go back to Iran. And that's the thing. Go back and fight for your beloved land. And you're so ungrateful to the country that welcomed you. And I was sitting there, it was like bad timing for this comment, because not only I have over a decade of resume, one of the loudest credible voices against Islamization of America, but I have a guest who has been in America longer than I have, who has ran for office, who has served as a police officer in America, but we're both on the same boat. But apparently, and by the way, I have to say, this is the majority of what I'm facing. The minority are supporting me. Majority are telling me, you're an American, you should drop Iran. Brannon can testify. It has a spread to where Brannon's getting emails of, you should stop having Annie on your show. Literally, for the shirt I was wearing yesterday, the hoodie, which has the Iranian flag with the lion and sun and the sword, apparently that was offensive. So the majority are, and I can't help but to think the following. Shahram John, these people by majority are the reason me and you have to fight for America, because they don't understand what a fight means. To them, America perfect, you say otherwise, you're a traitor. They don't understand there are so many flaws, so many cracks, so many betrayal inside America, and that's why they're blind, and me and you have to be here talking to them about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the number of people over the last 22, 23 years that I've been traveling around this nation that have said, you know, I don't understand why you're doing this. I don't understand the necessity of it, or just they're tone deaf. They're tone deaf to it. They're blind. And of course, sadly, part of that opposition comes from those who profess to be also Christians, who profess to be, I mean, that's why right now the silence, I've actually been tracking. I've been tracking a lot of the social media posts of friends and those Christians who I've worked with, who, you know, they were beating the drum of how evil Israel is, and the poor people in Gaza and the poor so-called Palestinians. And yet I literally have not seen one post from them, one remark from them. Hey, just pray for the Iranian people. If nothing else, just pray for the Iranian people. Pray that God's will be done. What about the Iranian Christians? What about the several million Christians that are in Iran? Should you not, as a Christian, be praying for your Christian brothers and sisters? Yet they see what we're doing as a distraction and or somehow if we criticize the president, and because the show I did today on my program, I called it The Great Betrayal. And the simple policy, I said the same thing that you said. Trump could have come out, America could have come out and said, listen, we're not getting involved. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to do anything. You Iranians are on your own. But the moment you come out and you egg the people on and you give them false hope and you put them into the streets and you tell them to go stand when they're unarmed, and then you say, we're locked and loaded. If they cross this line, they're in trouble. Help is on the way. So, in the book of Matthew, it says something very simple. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So if you're going to say we're going to do this, and now people die because of it, then you have not let your yes be yes. So when we criticize that, now we get attacked as, oh, don't you understand? This is about America first, and we don't need another war. They don't understand the bigger picture, and they don't understand what we're fighting for, and they don't understand the message of the Iranian people, which is we made a huge mistake. Just last night, I was watching an interview with a woman who had come out of. She may have been in Iran, but it was from not recent. It was maybe a year or two old, and she was saying we made a huge mistake 47 years ago, and we are paying for that mistake. And you would say to America, learn and don't make the mistake. But those who are fighting us for doing what we're doing now, yeah, you're right. They're nowhere to be found in the fight. And so keep doing what you're doing, Annie, because at the end of the day, whether they acknowledge it or not, whether they thank you or not, the Lord knows. The Lord knows your motive. The Lord knows your heart. And at the end of the day, we answer to him. And this is the right thing to do. Fight for freedom, fight for liberty, fight for justice. And oh, by the way, Romans 13 talks about that any civil authority that God has instituted is supposed to be carrying the sword against evil and not against good. So when we see evil happening and we just turn a blind eye to it, like here in America or in Iran, then we're not actually carrying forth God's mandate. So I believe not only history, but I believe the will of God is being revealed by our stance right now. And I pray that some more will, see it and be encouraging. But if only one person thanks you, even if nobody thanks you, I thank you, and the Lord is thanking you, and the Lord is saying, hey, this is what we've called you to do. Be that voice.
I appreciate that. Yes, amen. And we're going to continue this very topic. As soon as we come back, we do need to go to our first ad break, guys. I do see your comments coming, and I promise on the next segment, we're going to address some of them, especially if you have a question for Shahram. Put them in. We're going to go to comment section on the next segment. We'll be right back.
Life is too short to spend a single moment spinning in laundry worries. Take a load off your mind with the all-new Norwex Powerzyme laundry detergent. This natural detergent harnesses the power of enzymes and plant-based surfactants to leave fabrics fresh and clean without fillers, brighteners, synthetic fragrances, bleach, or harsh chemicals. So go ahead, have your cake and eat it too. More than ever, stressful stains have met their match. Powerzyme's fast-acting enzymes break down organic substances while natural surfactants loosen locked-in dirt and oil, removing residue, stains, and odors with ease. With 91% bio-based ingredients, this dermatologist-tested hypoallergenic formula is suitable for sensitive skin types and delivers a safe and effective clean that won't harm you or the planet's waterways. Less time spent worrying about laundry means you can focus on what truly matters. Norwex Powerzyme Laundry Detergent. Discover the power of nature and load up on confidence.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. I appreciate you, your time, your patience, and your care for the subject that is being somewhat pushed aside, covered headlines moving on from. And yes, as you know, I've been talking about Norwex for a while now. I have been using their product for over 6 months now. I'm a convert. Pretty much majority of my cleaning supply, hygiene, skincare, all of them has been moved over to Norwex. And thankfully, they have agreed to become an affiliate of Live Up to Freedom. So if you like to use 100% chemical-free product that will save you money in the long time and get your home healthier while supporting me financially, cyruswellness.com. That's cyruswellness.com is where you can place your order. And for those of you who have placed your orders, they have all shipped. And as I say every day, when you use them, let me know how you like them. Or if you don't like them, I doubt it. cyruswellness.com. Let's dive right back into the discussion with Shahram Hadian. It is so hard, Shahram, for me to say Hadian. Like in my head, you're Hadian. And I'm like, no, wait, it's Hadian. Yes. It's Hadian. It's like we have to adjust. Okay. And, you know, I'm going to literally say this, as petty as it is. You know, sometimes Americans don't even realize that we all of us had to, one way or another, even compromise our identity by name to fit in. Like, right. You know, I had to give up my gorgeous, beautiful Turkish name of Aynaz to become Anni Cyrus, so people could actually say my name. You've gone from Hadian, which is a very actually rooted Persian name in Iran, to Hadian, you know, on and on. But that's the thing. And I want to say I appreciate your kind words and everybody on the comment section. But this isn't even about a thank you. It's about this the slap in the face of how many years we have dedicated our lives to defending America. Those days were the heroes, right? Donations are coming in, purchases are over like I couldn't keep up with orders from my art studio. But the moment we defend the Iranian people by stating facts, historical facts about American government, we become the traitors and ungrateful. It's that hypocrisy that the point to be made is, my fellow Americans, be aware of your fellow Americans. Be aware why we feel exhausted. By we, I mean all Americans who are in this fight for America. We feel exhausted because our own fellow Americans are in this little bubble. Selective outrage has become part of their daily routine. So we can't convince them that there's a real fight for America. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I was just in Texas last week and I was trying to tell them, if you watch any of the videos coming out of many of the clerical leaders and the Islamic movement, they'll tell you, hey, Texas is right on the top of our list of places that we're trying to conquer, because if Texas goes, then we believe America will go. And so yes, there's like a small percentage of people that are like, okay, I get that now. But the majority of people are still asleep. And I think to your point of being realistic about America, you know, in the Old Testament, God raised up prophets. The true prophets didn't come and say, you know, Israel, you guys are doing great. God's happy with you. You've done nothing wrong. Everything is hunky-dory. No, the true prophets came and said, God has a plan. However, you've sinned against God. You've done this, X, Y, Z. And what was the response of the majority of the people? They hated those prophets because they loved the false prophets who told them everything was great. And right now, we're kind of operating like that type of a voice where you're trying to say, listen, part of the reason that Iran is in the mess that it's in is because of American interference, meddling, betrayal. That's history. That's reality. If they don't want to hear it, that's too bad. But that's part of the consequence of why I think we're seeing the Islamic takeover of America and this red-green axis, is because it comes back to what you literally sow, you will reap. And if we've sown division and betrayal, particularly in Iran, when we had a leader, you know, as my dad was serving under the Shah, we had a leader, we had a nation that was par that one of the best allies, if not the best ally of America, the best ally of Israel, the first country in the Middle East to recognize Israel as a nation, and you betray that, and you side, then, well, look, guess what? Look what's happening in America. They're doing the same thing. Our leaders are betraying us. Our leaders are siding with the Islamic movement, with the Islamic takeover. And I had commented on your post about Mr. Al Thani from Qatar.
Yes. Hold on, before we go there, let me deliver on a promise, because I want to touch on that. That's very important. But if we could put up the message that Macron sent President Trump, and President Trump put this on Truth Social himself, I want to say what this all started when I said France and America have done enough damage, leave our land alone. The message reads as follows. My friend, we are totally in line on Syria. We can do great things on Iran. I do not understand what you're doing on Greenland. Let us try to build great things. Number one, I can set up a G7 meeting after Davos in Paris on Thursday afternoon. I can invite the Ukrainians, the Danish, the Syrians, and the Russians in the version. Number two, let us have a dinner together in Paris on Thursday before you go back to US. What level of denial, Shahram John, does it take for... I posted this. It's on Truth Social posted by Trump himself with caption of a message from Macron. What part of this very short message does not scream what I've been screaming, that I rather no help from US because they're going to go in and hijack this? What does we can do great things in Iran mean to American people? What does it really mean? This is where we're like, they're screaming their plan, but they know nobody's going to go after them because people are in denial.
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier about, again, we repeat history because we don't study history. We don't understand the true history. Just like how many people will say 1979 was a revolution of the people. That was not a revolution of the people. That was an orchestrated deception of the people, a coup, an overthrow, a sabotage. And yes, were there people, like my cousin was one of these fools that was involved with the Marxists in Iran and worked to protest against the Shah, believed the lies. And then in 6 months, they came to arrest him when Khomeini took over, and he fled Iran, and he's never been back since. So they don't understand their history. They don't understand the relationship. They don't understand. Do you remember that Khomeini, they had an entire, almost neighborhood that they had in France.
In Paris, exactly.
In Paris. That was their entire area that the French government knew that was breeding, quote, radicalism, which we know is fundamentalism. Iran was was the first peg of the Islamic world going into fundamentalism with the coup. So France, America, the CIA, even before the Carter administration, then your great debate with Claire Lopez that I watched on exposing MEK. I mean, it was incredible how I was shocked, honestly, at how she lost her credibility, because I've been a, obviously we don't agree. She's an atheist and we don't agree on faith, but I've always respected her as far as somebody who was impeccable on detail and research. And my goodness, well, my experience. She kept saying my experience. How about facts? I'm not really, So that was my point. Is those who do not know how much France and the United States worked to actually set up the suffering that not only the Iranian people have gone through, but how much suffering has the world gone through with an Islamic regime that has exported Islam and Sharia and terrorism and mayhem and murder to the ends of the earth, And now, of course, you saw their, was it their deputy? One of their deputy ministers came out and said, we're calling on everybody to carry out attacks,
Yes.
cars, fires, knives, guns, whatever. But let's make a deal. Let's send Witkoff over there and let's make another deal. I mean, at some point, you want to bang your head into the wall because you think this is insanity. It's the geopolitics that it makes me sick.
Yes, and that's the whole concept. I have, for last 2 days at least, from the morning Substack I released yesterday until today, I'm like, okay, my fellow Americans, you don't want me to talk about Iran and Iranian people? No problem. Let's talk about America and American politics. Are you willing to hear the truth? Are you willing to hear it? That's the problem. We are watching. We're watching. Again, I explained that I never took President Trump's promise or post serious anyways because I know better. I know how politics works. I have emphasized on my Substack that successful politicians don't become successful because they do great humanitarian work. They become successful because they know how to policy the diplomacy on top of affirmation words. That's what Trump just did. Don't hold it against him. I'm not. Because I look at him as a politician, not some great guy who's out there to save the world. I don't look at him as peace president. I look at him as a politician. Give him credit for being a good politician. But Americans need to realize when this message comes out, listen, if this was a message that President Trump did not agree on, would he truth it? No. Mm-hmm. He publicized it. I said the delay is not to have proper attack. The delay is to have the new replacement get ready. The new replacement being MEK, and addressing somebody said you've been begging for intervention. I haven't. I've been against it. I know too much. I know way too much to ever want intervention. I've been asking Bibi Netanyahu, the majority of Americans think Bibi is this evil guy looking for land to grab, says Candace Owen. I know for a fact Bibi is the only man who understands, and I know for a fact he's being pressured by France, UK, Germany, and US not to go in. Bibi would have been there 10 days ago. He proved to the world that Israel can handle Iran. They did it during the 12 days war. But people don't want to hear the truth, and that's where my struggle comes in. As we are commanded to tell the truth, it's, as you said, I feel like I'm talking to a wall at times where truth is rejected, which again, in Bible, we also know that those who perish for lack of knowledge, the knowledge that they rejected, not that they didn't have the knowledge, they rejected it. Today, we face that repeat of rejection. They don't want to hear it. And I'm talking too much, but let's go take our next ad break. Yeah. When we come back, we're going to bring the other piece of the puzzle, which is Qatar and their communication with Trump administration. Don't go anywhere, guys. Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, for at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com. Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. I greatly appreciate that. That's another way if you want to financially support what I do, because believe it or not, I have bills like everybody else. And I'm on my own. My cats don't work, unfortunately. I've tried to convince them to get a job and help with finances. They can't. So lutfstudio.com is where I list my handmade resin art, sometimes acrylic or diamond painting, but right now all products are resin pieces. So you can make a purchase, use promo code MISSION to get 10% off your purchase, lutfstudio.com. Let's get right back into it. Shahram John, go ahead and tell my audience about what Qatar just confirmed and what was your analysis and translation of what they said.
Well, first of all, the quick backstory. Last week when I was on with Brannon, I just landed in Boise, Idaho to speak to some of their legislators about the Islamic takeover of America. And they were very frustrated with what the Trump administration allowed with the building of the Qatari base that was just 50 miles south of Boise, Idaho, their capital. They were very, very frustrated. And then they began to tell me how the local mayor there, who's is a leftist, is going to welcome the Qataris in. She's talked about school children are going to be, there's going to be opportunity for diversity. She's excited that they're going to be able to, maybe even get to read the Quran. They have a mosque, all these things, which are just, again, the epitome of their foolishness. So as I was doing that, the word had come out.
For my audience who might have missed that, this is about the Qatari base in Idaho. That's the welcome. Correct.
Right. And remember that it was the same individual that you posted on Facebook today, Mr. Al-Thani, who had signed the agreement with Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, I guess they call it now, to build within the existing base there a facility for the Qataris to come and train. And now I was told that would mean that they would stay on base, but apparently now that's not the case, and they're going to be expanding into the city, that city that is going to be hosting them, or is where the base is. Now, all of that to say, you posted this on your post, and I thought it was so good, because the Qatari, Mr. Al-Thani, said, when asked a question about did they influence Trump to not attack Iran, we know reporters asked Trump, were you influenced by Qatar, or did you make a decision? Trump says, no, it was my decision to not go. But here's the statement from Mr. Al-Thani. We are engaged with the Americans and don't want to see rising military tensions. That said, we didn't argue with the U.S., but we offered as a partner was honest advice that the best path forward is finding a diplomatic solution to Iran's nuclear file. So I'm just going to read what I wrote, just because I think it's easier to explain. So I wrote, translation, yes, as if this was coming from Qatar, what they're really meant to say. Yes, we influenced Trump to not attack Iran because we control American foreign policy, the media, universities, and the Muslim Brotherhood. By the way, thanks for helping to build our bases as we take over America, while we deny you access to our bases to use for an attack against Iran. We can't allow Iran to be liberated. That would lead to an Islamic free Iran, and we can't allow that. Thanks for taking all of our money. We love all the strings that entangle America. So that was just kind of my fun, my personal translation of what I saw by the foreign minister of Qatar, Mahmoud Abdul Rahman, saying, Mr. Al-Thani saying, hey, we gave them our best advice. I read between the lines. Maybe I'm overreacting, Annie John, but I read between the lines as absolutely we influenced their decision. Absolutely that decision was told, if you do this, there goes all the money, all the opportunities, all the relationships. And again, people don't want to hear this. You say this, they get mad. Jared Kushner's ties to Qatar, Steve Witkoff's ties to Qatar, his deputy Middle East envoy's ties to Qatar, Pam Bondi's ties to Qatar, taking the money from Qatar, taking the plane from Qatar. So the complaint is AIPAC, the Jewish lobby, controls America. But I think Mr. El-Thani just told us, no, we actually influence. And what, can I ask, what diplomatic solution is left with this murderous, demonic Islamic regime? What am I missing something? Because it's like us trying to negotiate with Satan in the Bible.
Well,
I don't know.
If you follow the narrative, Witkoff went to Israel day after there were leaked information that Qatar has spoken to Trump, and he sat on that stage and he answered when the interviewer on a stage in Israel at an event asked that President Trump has said help is on the way and nothing yet. What do you think is the plan? Witkoff repeated the same talking point. We are still hopeful that we can resolve this with diplomacy. But yes, you're right. There is no diplomacy left for me and you. We have, our foundation comes from the Bible. We don't dance with the devil because music fits. But those in charge do. Again, on my Substack yesterday, Shahram, I said, why are you upset? Trump has shake hands and stood next to people worse than Khamenei, Islamist or socialist. This is why is this coming out? And again, this is the very Khamenei that President Trump bragged about saving his life 7 months ago.
Right.
So, but for Americans to, even when we broke the news about Qatari base, I was on air on Michael Lauer's show with one of his guests, Bill, who's the writer for Newsmax, saying that my Substack sounded like the dirty, greasy leftist writing. To that extent, there were literally on air live, and I put my hands are pretty darn clean, but I get your denial. That's the thing. When the base was announced, everyone was like, we're not giving them their own base. It's just, we're doing it with, and funny enough, here's where the response was, big deal. We've been doing it with Turkey. We've been doing it with Saudi Arabia. I'm like, that's exactly the problem. The fact that you think doing this kind of business with Turkey and Saudi is somewhat okay, again, comes back to because today, Shahram, honestly, nobody can claim I didn't know. If somebody wants to know about something, they can know about something. Right. By the way, I should say this because I think you're going to get a good laugh at this. I put out the information when we received confirmation that Irfan was in fact killed for my audience. Irfan was the first protester who was arrested. And then later, President Trump claimed that in good authority, he knows that they postponed the killing him, which was not true. When I posted that, I had people putting a screenshot of their Google and AI ChatGPT search saying this is not confirmed. I literally wrote a post, I'm like, bless your heart that you think Google or ChatGPT can give you confirmed information that we are on the ground working on. That's the level, again, the level of how do we help people who are in such denial or such deep comfort that they don't want to learn about it. They think Turkey is a good ally and Saudi Arabia is. Somebody asked me, why would Saudi Arabia have a problem with toppling the Islamic regime? I'm like, are you seriously asking that? Yeah, I don't understand. They hate each other. Well, that's the point. Saudi Arabia with the free Iran, especially under leadership of Pahlavi, is going to face a serious oil competition.
Yes.
That's their biggest issue. They don't want a Pahlavi and a free Iran because they know, just like during the father and the grandfather, Saudi Arabia struggled to sell a single gallon of oil. Exactly. They're going to struggle the same way. But go ahead. Exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No. You're exactly right. See, now you're getting to the crux of the matter because it ultimately comes down to money and power and influence, not altruism. And it's ironic to me that people that do defend the president, when he says something that is very clear, showing that, there's maybe compromise there. And I don't mean compromise in a good way. I mean someone who's compromised. Then they say, "Oh no, you don't understand. You got to read between the lines. You got it's code. It's code." and then you know, on the flip side, they have it the other way when you know, something else he says, and they're like, no, he really means it. I mean, don't worry, he's a man of his word. He means it. Which one is it? You know, which one is it? You can't get both ways. And when it comes down to money, all of us looked at this and said, what kind of a good idea do you think it is to allow this type of an influence with these Arab Muslim nations that will play nice with you to your face, but behind the scenes are still Islamic, are still having the agenda that they must conquer Jerusalem, they must defeat the West, they must defeat Christianity because of Islam. So I think I don't know if it's naivety. I think the average person who like wants to say, you know, hey, we support America, we love America. Yeah, I love America too. I love our founding principles. I love the concept of our nation. I love the fact that we're supposed to fight for these freedoms. But we have to be realistic that when we criticize corruption within our government in both political parties, you know, I ran for governor, as you said, but when I lived in Washington State as a Republican, and I saw firsthand the level of corruption and the level of compromise within the Republican Party. So I came out of that very sober-minded, and I said, okay, I'm done supporting the party apparatus. I will support individual candidates that I can vet, that I can, you know, ask questions of, and if I believe in them, I'll get behind them. People say, oh, how could you do that? You just got to vote Republican. No, I'm not going to be brain dead and vote one way. Same here. I'm not just going to be brain dead, though I voted for the president, and say, this is a moment. I said yesterday to my wife, this is a moment that I think is going to judge God's hand upon America, or God further allowing judgment on America, particularly from the number one enemy, which is Islam, because you have a leader that is influenced. And the sad thing is, you and I know that those words are hollow, that he said. Mm-hmm. But how many Iranians in the street thought, maybe, just maybe, they mean it, and he's going to come. And had they just allowed Israel, had he just not given the order to turn the planes around in June of last year, had they allowed Israel, with their years of planning and years of brilliant infiltration into the regime, to finish the job, we both agreed, America, stay out. I didn't even want them to hit the power plants back in June. Stay out. Let Israel finish the job. Stop interfering. Stop nation building. And I have the same concern as you do. They know this regime is going to fall at some point. Two questions. How many Iranians are going to die? What's going to be the final total? I said probably in the six figures. Sadly, I hope not. And secondly, you and I agree, they're picking their own horse in the race. And then didn't you see, was it yesterday Trump came out? Was it yesterday, the statement about when they asked him about Reza Pahlavi? Well, I'm not sure about him. And I'm not sure yet if he has the support. Under what rock have you been living under that the diaspora, the massive rallies in Toronto or London, I mean, not so much here in the US, but we see these rallies overseas. And of course, in Iran.
Yeah. On Sunday, Los Angeles turned out 50,000 Iranians.
Yeah, I forgot Los Angeles because of that. But there was some small rallies in Dallas, some small rallies in Atlanta, and, you know, here and there. But we saw massive rallies in Toronto, over 100,000 people in the snow. We saw rallies in London, obviously. They were trying, you know, and then they're getting beat up by the police that lets the Muslims do whatever they want, but beat up the Iranians, right? All of that communicates what? hello, Mr. President, there's only one name they're shouting. And there's only one slogan they're saying. Because you fundamentally don't understand. The young people in Iran are trying to right a wrong that their parents, my parents, well, yeah, my dad got us out, but, you know, our generation realized, oh, what a mistake we made. What a mistake that we
Yes,
made.
but here's what I mentioned again on my Substack. If you look at life through a lens of clarity and truth, reality and politics do not speak the same language. So reality can shout Javid Shah forever, but politics is not going to shout the same sentence. No. That's what people need to come to realize. Guys, we got to take our last ad break, and then we'll come back to close out the show. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. I am genuinely grateful for all. I just looked at some of the numbers of the stream. I am so grateful that you're here. This means a lot, especially because I need you to spread the word. We mainly talked about US today. We talked about policy today. We talked about corruption today. So spread the word. I appreciate you being here. And I will strongly suggest you do become a Vault member, Worldview YouTube Vault member. It's amazing. The database there, how much you can learn, how much you can come to realize the truth of our time. It's not comparable. I don't think I can compare it to any other database. So cancel your subscription to ChatGPT, move the money over to Worldview YouTube Vault, where you not only learn the truth, but also as a Christian, you can go and watch every single one of the Sunday afternoon Bible studies of Brandon House that has helped me understand. Remember, I'm a newbie, right? I have learned so much of my view and understanding of Bible just through those Sunday programs. So become a Vault member. And then after that, if you see fit, if you think I have provided enough information that is worth, become a paid subscriber on my Substack as I continue. I will, trust me, it's in my DNA. Giving up, not in my DNA. Being a stubborn, absolutely a Persian thing. I will continue doing what I do on Substack and every other platform, but your paid subscription does help me pay the bills. Let's dive back in as we have less than 9 minutes. Shahram John, with everything we said, I want to do another pity party, or better yet, victory dance. As you know very well, Voice of America Farsi, which for audience who don't know, it's a government, U.S. government funded network under supervision of Kari Lake, the transparency hero, who has been fighting election fraud and been fighting censorship and has been fighting lies, assigned a new boss to Voice of America Farsi, which is a man that we in Iranian, in the communities, call him Ali Fake News. He is pretty much a reformer and a separatist. There are videos of him saying, I'm not afraid. If Iran needs to be split into small pieces, so be it. That's not as scary. So a lot of us Iranians on X went and, informed Kari Lake of the situation. We provided evidence. Some of us went a step further, including myself. I commented saying, Kerry, I knew you're a sellout to Islam when you backed up Abe Hamida in Arizona, but this is a whole new level of low when you use Iranians' brave actions in Iran to cover up for a man who doesn't care, who's censoring. Because if you watch Voice of America Farsi, they are cutting anything. They don't even show protest inside Iran that has the chant of Pahlavi in it. In result, just to show proof, because I like to do that, Thomas, if you would put that a screenshot of, here's what she did. Kerry Lake blocked me and over 200 other Iranians, Shahram John, on X. Is this censoring voices, or does this give her a free pass? I genuinely want your take on one of the big names out there that Republicans and conservatives, especially Christians, cheer for all day long for her heroism and truth-telling, who's now silencing our voices where we show evidence of wrongdoing of the man she has put in charge, and our tax dollar, by the way, is pay her salary and his salary. What's your take on this action?
Well, at the minimum, hypocrisy comes to mind, because, as you said, she was deemed as the champion, the underdog, the one who's going to take on the system, expose the voter fraud, and which, we all acknowledge more than likely there's massive voter fraud in the state of Arizona, but that was her persona. Now she's in this position, and the fact that she's blocking people, the fact that she's censoring, the fact that they can't take the criticism, to me, it communicates, sadly, two things. One, we've already established that the politics of our government and even the Trump administration is they are going to pick, they want to pick who they think is going to lead Iran, which is very, very scary and grieving. But secondly, it's hypocrisy, because don't tell me that you're a freedom fighter. Don't tell me that you're for respecting voices, especially when you call it voices of Iran, and then silence those who say, why did you put this person in? To some extent, this is what's happened to those of us who exposed the president's faith advisor. The same thing happened, where, I was online about actually last year, as soon as Trump got sworn in, and we were exposing his faith advisor, Paula White, as saying she is a false teacher, a false Christian. She is not for faith. She is for her own agenda, that it was a pay-to-pray scheme that she sets up through the National Faith Advisory Board. And I had people who were defending, who were supposed to be Christians, who were supposed to be pastors, attacking me, saying, how dare you criticize this, and trying to silence us. So we're seeing a pattern here, aren't we? We're seeing a pattern of one thing that we're supposed to be told with MAGA. We're supposed to be America first. We're supposed to be all about freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, protecting voices, and yet call them out and give them show them the receipts, so to speak. Show them the evidence, which is what I did with Paula White, and they come after you, and they shut you down.
And that's what we did for Kerry Lake with Ali. We showed proof.
Right.
And again, I want to be clear. I'm not the only one, and this isn't even about me. Over 10,000 Iranians were tagging her, commenting, sending videos, translations, resume of Ali, doing personal videos, asking Kerry Lake to look into this. But the response, first, she doubled down, saying that what Ali says is fact. Can you imagine? Ali, what Ali says is fact. And what was Ali saying? He was saying that I'm under attack by Islamic Republic of Iran's bots.
Wow. Wow.
Supposedly Islamic Republic of Iran's bots, and Kerry's backing it up. And then she started blocking. If you go on X, you'll see Iranians posting, "You've been blocked," the screenshots over and over and over again. But because we're coming to very end of the show, in a minute, Shahram John, first of all, I'm always grateful when you give me your time and my audience. So thank you for that. But I don't want to let you go before you tell our audience. Let's put Iran aside, though it's very hard for me to do right now. America midterm, what do they need to understand before they get in there and start voting comes midterm?
Well, first of all, I'm very concerned about the midterms because I'm very concerned about the loss of support. First and foremost, from the Iranian community. Many Iranians voted for the Trump. Many Iranians vote Republican. How they handle the situation could lose, several million votes in the midterm. Secondly, they have to recognize that the midterms, which obviously are going to allow the Trump administration to continue what they're doing if they can hold supposedly power, although the reality is what really has been done in the House and Senate, not much. They have not been able to do much. They have not codified much of Trump's agenda. I'm always an advocate of voting. I always believe we should vote. The problem comes when now the person you voted for begins to show that they are not at all what they're saying, or their agenda has changed. So I'm very concerned about the midterms. I'm very concerned what that will mean, because obviously what comes after Trump is going to probably be worse than even this, especially if they go with someone like J.D. Vance, or if the Democrats gain power, because really now they're not Democrats, they're Marxists. They're full-on Marxists that are supporting Islam. It's the red-green axis. So pray, vote, pray that the president, that this administration would prayerfully do God's will, that prayerfully do what is right and righteous, and especially when it comes to Iran, but also to this nation, that they would wake up. What has Trump done to fight the Muslim Brotherhood? Not really anything. What has Trump done to stop this red-green axis? Not really anything. He calls Mamdani in.
I'm sorry if I could interrupt you.
No,
I strongly say, let me plug myself. Yes. Go to my Substack. I did a 12-month review with receipt of President Trump's actions from January 2025 until end of December 2025, when it came to Islam, Islamization, and fighting against it. But Shahram John, you're amazing. I'm sure we're going to talk off air, and I can't wait to bring you back. Tillministry.com. Support Shahram. He's doing amazing work. He's been doing amazing work. He didn't pop up when the revolution started. He knows his stuff, especially when it comes to Bible. And we are out of time, so I have to run. I will be back tomorrow solo. And then Thursday and Friday, I do have very special guests. I can't wait to